active 25-year-old wife of Arthur Macmillan had been having a great deal of trouble sleeping at night. For several weeks, something had been bothering her. Something that preyed on her mind, something that came to haunt her during those eerie, restless hours between midnight and dawn.
Mary, you awake.
Harold, you shouldn't have come here. If Arthur finds out about us...
Don't you understand? It isn't something that I want to do, Mary. Lord knows I didn't want to fall in love with you.
But your wife, Harold. Sally was my roommate at college. She's my best friend.
What of Arthur? Why, he and I have been close friends for... It's a mess, Mary. It isn't easy to be the way we are. It isn't easy, and believe me, I wish it had never happened.
But now that it has happened, Hal, what are we going to do? What of Arthur and Sally? What's going to become of our lives?
Mary, wake up.
Oh. What, Arthur? Did you say something, Arthur?
Mary, you've been talking in your sleep again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew I shouldn't have had that snack before I went to bed. That always seems to make me restless.
I've been listening to you, Mary.
What? You mean you could understand what I was saying?
You spoke very clearly. I couldn't help hearing.
Oh, surely, Arthur. You don't think there's any significance in what people say in their sleep.
Do you know what you said?
Well, of course not. I haven't any idea.
You were having a conversation with someone.
I was? Who?
Don't you know?
No, Arthur, I haven't any idea. Oh, this is silly. You act as though it's important or something.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to get you wide awake. Go back to sleep, Mary. There's probably no significance in what I heard. Probably none at all.
Yes, something had been bothering Mary Macmillan. Something that preyed on her mind and came to haunt her during those fitful, restless hours that verged on insomnia. A woman can't fall in love with a close friend's husband without feeling a twinge of conscience. At least Mary couldn't. And it must have troubled Harold Desmond to know that he coveted the wife of Arthur Macmillan, in spite of his close association with Arthur over a period of many years. To get back to Mary, her conscience bothered him most when Sally Desmond came to call. If Sally had any suspicions, they certainly weren't directed at Mary, of all people.
Of all the people I know, Mary, you're the only one I'd dare to confide in about a thing like this. Are you sure you want to confide in me, Sally? I just have to talk to someone, Mary. Is it that bad? It's about Harold. Oh, really, Sally? Do you think you ought to discuss your private affairs with... If your husband was running around with another woman... Another woman? There, I said it. If your husband was doing that, wouldn't you want to talk to someone about it? Oh, yes, I suppose so, but... Sally, are you sure that Harold... Yes, I'm sure. No man can hide a thing like that from his wife. But, Sally, do you think it's fair to Harold to confide in me without at least mentioning it to him? You could be mistaken, you know. I'm not mistaken. I came to you, Mary, because no one can understand a woman as well as another woman. Oh, I wish I knew what to say. How can I help you, Sally? You've always been so much more worldly than I am. You've always been able to influence men without even trying. There's something about you that... Oh, I don't know, but whatever it is, it's always there. What's always there? Well, you're always so interesting. You're full of everything that's worthwhile, Mary. It simply vibrates all over you. But you don't seem to know it. Maybe it's that vibration that keeps me awake at night. Tell me truly, Mary, what do you think of Harold? Harold? Well, he seems to have lots of good qualities, Sally. Yes, and lots of bad ones, if you only knew. Since this thing started with this other woman, it's been like a bear to live with. Oh, Sally, it might be business troubles. It might be a number of things besides what you think it is. I'm sure, Mary, I told you that. Tell me, Sally, have you any idea who this other woman might be? No, but she must be someone like you. What? I mean, with your vibrations and things that do things to men. Oh, the thing that I can't understand is if this woman knows Harold's married, how can she believe him? I don't follow you. Well, any woman ought to know enough not to believe a married man if he's making love to her. Yes, I suppose any woman should. Of course, if he honestly does love this woman, he might, you know. I mean, it's possible, don't you think? Mary, if he does love her, yes, what would you do, Sally? I don't know. Well, it wouldn't matter so much except that I love him too, Mary. Oh, if he honestly loves her and she honestly loves him, the fact that I love my husband would make it terribly tragic, wouldn't it? Yes, terribly. Oh, Mary, with your knowledge of things, would you give me some advice? I don't know what advice I can give you, Sally. Well, I read somewhere that the institution of marriage becomes almost second nature to a man, that when he's in real trouble, he naturally turns to home and fireside. Do you believe that? No. Wish I could, but I don't. Most of the time now, I don't even know where Harold is. Oh, I keep telling myself that I'm a fool to care about anyone who treats me like this, but I hear him come in late at night. Everything seems all right again. When he comes home with that guilty look, you know, I'm actually halfway happy. And I'll try to make myself believe that he'll give her up and he'll be everything to me that he used to be. Sally, I wish I could help you. You've no idea how much I wish you can, Mary. But how? With your vibrations and things. If Harold got interested in you. Good heavens, Sally. Do you want him to get interested in me? Well, if he did, he might forget about this other woman. Oh, Mary, can't you see how much I need you? That sort of thing's terribly dangerous. How could I explain a thing like that to my husband? If I were to seem interested in Harold, Arthur would be bound to find out. I'll explain it to Arthur. What? Mary, you and Arthur have always been the closest friends that Harold and I have. Arthur wouldn't want to see Harold and me split up. I know he wouldn't. He'd want you to help us. If you can get Arthur to agree to a thing like this, there's a generous side to his nature I've never discovered. I'll explain everything to him. If Arthur gives his permission, if he does, Sally, I'll try to help you. But I've no idea what the consequences might be. Hal, I can't go on like this. I simply can't go on.
Sally. Sally's been to see you, hasn't she, Mary?
Oh, yes. She made me feel like
Yeah, I know. But you knew you'd have to face Sally sometime, and I'll have to face Art.
Sally doesn't suspect me, Hal. And Art doesn't either.
What?
Oh, of course Sally knows you're seeing another woman. But I'm the last person in the world she suspects. You've no idea how that makes me feel, Hal.
Of course I know how you feel. What about Art? Do you suppose he...
Oh, no. He feels very badly about the way you're treating Sally. And he agreed to let me try to help her.
No.
Ironic, isn't it? I'm expected to lure you away from this mythical other woman and deliver you back to Sally. I'm expected to save you from me, Hal.
Have I underestimated your love for me?
I can't answer you.
You can't answer because you know deep down in your heart that we can no more give each other up, that we can stop breathing.
Darling, what are we going to do?
I think fate has answered that question.
Fate?
Well, don't you see how simple it is? Sally thinks I'm mixed up with another woman. She's come to you about it, and she's talked to Arthur. They talked you into the role of intermediary. Now, it was their idea, not ours. In an effort to save me from this other woman, you fell in love with me yourself, and I fell in love with you. Now, Sally and Arthur can't blame us. It was all their own idea. Now, if that isn't the hand of fate, I'd like to know what it is. If that doesn't prove that we were meant to...
Hal, tell me honestly. Do you think our love can survive such out-and-out deception as that?
But it's not deception, it's opportunity, darling. You know what they say about opportunity.
Oh, all right. I'll answer the knock. The spell we're under's like a drug, Hal. No matter what the cost, we keep coming back for more.
You're undoubtedly wondering where the lie detector fits into this evening's drama, but we're coming to that very shortly. During the nights that followed the decision of Mary Macmillan and Harold Desmond to continue their clandestine romance, Mary's sleep became more and more disturbed. Weird dreams interfered greatly with her rest.
I came to you, Madame de Luca, because I must know what the future has in store for me.
You can trust the crystal ball, Mrs. Macmillan. It never fails.
Please, what do you see?
I see. Oh.
What is it, Madame de Luca? What is it?
I see a tall, forbidding figure, a black cloud. A bony hand carries something alive. This figure is death. Something else I see now. Clearly I see it, Mary Macmillan. The symbol it is. A widow mourning at her husband's grave.
What does it mean, Madame de Luca? What does it mean?
Death it means. The crystal ball always tells the truth. Your husband will die, Mary Macmillan.
Mary, wake up.
What?
Wake up, Mary.
Oh. Arthur, I'm so glad you wakened me. I was having the most horrible nightmare. Everyone knows that fortune tellers are fake, but this... Arthur, what's the matter with you? Are you in pain? Arthur, answer me. Is something...
Some time later, Mary Macmillan was pouring out her story to Ed Yates, chief investigator for the state's attorney's office.
Your husband's death was caused by poison, Mrs. Macmillan.
Poison?
Yes. I got the report from the coroner's office. The lab analysis turned up a lethal dose of poison in the stomach.
That fortune teller.
What's a fortune teller got to do with your husband's murder?
Everything. Yesterday she told me he was going to die.
What?
And last night, just before he woke me up, I had a nightmare. That whole crystal gazing scene came back to me.
Do you mean to say that this fortune teller woman actually predicted his death?
Yes. She said he'd die within 2 or 3 days. Of course, I tried to ignore it. Those people are such fakes and...
Did she say how he was going to die?
Not exactly how. She said he would be murdered. But she didn't know what method would be used.
Mrs. Macmillan, I don't suppose you'd be willing to discuss your reasons for going to that fortune teller.
No. Beyond that terrible prediction of Madame de Luca's, there's nothing more I can tell you. I have no idea who would want to kill my husband.
Madam DeLuca?
Who are you? What do you want?
State Attorney's office. May I come in? I want to know how you knew that Arthur Macmillan was going to die.
Oh, what that? For a moment you had me worried. I thought you were one of these crusaders always trying to expose fortune tellers.
What about it, madam? Will you answer my question?
Oh, surely. In order to predict the future, it's only necessary to be well informed of the present.
Well?
Before making any prediction, I naturally question Mrs. Macmillan about her intimate private affair.
And you found a good reason why she would want her husband out of the way?
I found a reason why two people would want him out of the way.
Before that day was over, Harold Desmond walked into his wife's room with a resolute expression on his face. He found Sally Desmond stretched out on her bed.
Sally, in view of what's happened to Art Macmillan, I've decided to tell you everything. Now, believe me, the last thing Mary and I want to do is hurt you. I wish I could spare you, Sally, but we've got to know the truth sooner or later. Mary and I... Sally? Sally, what's happened to you? Sally!
The same poison, Mrs. Macmillan. The same kind of poison that killed your husband caused Sally Desmond's death.
But who would do it? Who would want to?
Don't you know, Mrs. Macmillan?
Of course I don't.
Suppose I turn my attention to you, Mr. Desmond.
Do you think I'd have any reason to murder my wife and Mary Macmillan's husband?
Yes.
What?
You and Mary Macmillan, of all the people in the world, would have a very definite reason for wanting those two out of your way.
But do you think we'd go so far as to...
People who become mixed up in this sort of thing, Mrs. Macmillan, that you and Mr. Desmond have been mixed up in, have been known to commit some of the most atrocious crimes in history.
If you think you're going to intimidate us into admitting something we had nothing to do with...
I think sooner or later you'll both confess.
What?
I presume you'd both be willing to take a lie detector test?
Yes. Yes, I'll take one.
And so will I. I think you're both grasping at straws in the hope that you can beat the lie detector, but you can't. You might as well make up your mind to that. I know how strong such a motive as yours can be. I learned it from a fortune teller.
Bella DeLuca. She told you what I told her in confidence.
Uh-huh. By the way, I think I'll ask Madame DeLuca to take a lie detector test, too.
So, by arrangement with Ed Yates, I was assigned to conduct polygraph deception tests on 3 suspects in the poison deaths of Arthur Macmillan and Sally Desmond. First, there was a fortune teller, Bella DeLuca, who actually predicted the deaths. Her reactions to my questions about the murder indicated she was a successful fortune teller not because she had any occult or mystic powers, but because she was a master psychologist and had a rare gift for drawing out the minds of her subjects. Her record indicated to me that she knew nothing of the actual poisonings. My next 2 suspects were Mary Macmillan and Harold Desmond, both of whom, through their mutual infatuation, had a definite motive for such poisoning. Mrs. Macmillan, just answer yes or no, please. Do you love Harold Desmond?
Yes.
Do you love him enough to commit murder?
Yes.
Did you commit murder, Mrs. Macmillan?
No.
Have you had something to eat today?
Yes.
Did you poison your husband, Mrs. Macmillan?
No.
Did you poison Sally Desmond?
No.
Did you conspire with Harold Desmond in planning the poisoning?
No.
Have you had lunch today?
Yes.
Did you eat well?
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Why are you asking me these ridiculous questions? They haven't anything to do with anything.
You understand, Mr. Desmond, the polygraph pens are extremely sensitive. The only answers I want are either yes or no.
Understand? Go ahead.
Mr. Desmond, do you love Mary Macmillan?
Yes.
Do you love her enough to commit murder?
Well, yes, I suppose I do.
Did you commit murder, Mr. Desmond?
No.
Have you had something to eat today?
Yes?
Did you poison your wife, Mr. Desmond?
No.
Did you poison Arthur Macmillan?
No.
Did you conspire with Mary Macmillan in planning the poisoning?
I did not. Why, Mary would no more think of doing a thing like that than...
You're delaying the test, Mr. Desmond. If you'll please refrain from talking until I'm finished.
If you want any cooperation from me, leave Mary Macmillan out of your question. She had nothing to do with it.
How do you know?
Why, she couldn't have. Anyone who knows her will tell you that.
Yes, Mr. Desmond. You love her, all right. There's no question about that.
Well, Nard, the test's complete?
All complete.
Crystal gazer?
No, clear test.
Desmond?
No. No reactions on the murder questions. I'd call him innocent.
By George! The femme fatale. Mary Macmillan handled the whole thing by herself, huh?
Oh, I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Ed. According to the polygram, though, Mary Macmillan doesn't know any more about those poisonings than I do.
Oh, Nard, you're out of your mind. That machine of yours must be out of order. I'll never allow such evidence as that in court.
Suit yourself, Ed, but the polygraph is not out of order. I'll stake my reputation on the innocence of all three of your suspects.
Why, I haven't had such an airtight case in years. Any jury will see the motive behind these murders. Clandestine romance has caused more crime than... Yes? Yeah, send him in. For once in my life, I can't go along with you, Nard. I'm not one to throw science out of the window in favor of circumstantial evidence. But in this case... Huh? What do you got, Harry?
The state's attorney sent this letter over, Mr. Yates. It came for him in this afternoon's mail.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, Nard.
I'll go right ahead.
Nard?
Yeah?
If you need a recommendation or an endorsement for your lie detector, I'll run a full-page ad over my own signature.
Oh, you changed your mind.
It's been changed for me. Here, read this.
Yeah. It was inevitable that we, the undersigned, would discover the ironic deceit being imposed upon us by those we cherished so deeply. There is nothing in life we want without them, so we have decided to leave the way entirely open for them. Voluntarily, we leave a world in which love is all, and yet love is nothing. Of what avail is love that causes pain and suffering for many in order that two might find happiness? Tell Harold and Mary we wish them well. Signed, Sally Desmond and Arthur Macmillan. Well, I guess we have much to learn about humanity, Ed. Much to learn.